And we are live. Welcome, everybody. How you doing, Heidi?
I am, yeah.
You can get a text.
Yes, you're gonna
Super excited to be back on a live.
You're gonna talk about burnout today, aren't you?
I am, yes. I'm feeling it today.
Before we went live, Heidi was like trying to meditate in her chair, and it wasn't working.
It wasn't. I'm in leather boots right now, and I tried to meditate, but my seat's leather, and it was like leather sticking on leather. And then Steven's like, get a sound machine. And I was like, I think the point is to not have any more sound going on in my head.
All right, so Heidi, we're going to first talk about the fact that American factories are desperate for workers, and it's a $1 trillion problem.
I feel like desperate is not the right word. There needs to be a more severe word than desperate right now.
Hi, friends. And we've got this article that was just released, massive study done with lots of CEOs of the light industrial space. So we're going to review this right now. Tune in, super important for job seekers and employers. You don't want to miss this. You want to tune in right after this, Heidi. My favorite thing is working after her. That's a good baseline, Lucia. Heidi.
Steven.
Okay, so the demand for goods are skyrocketing, going through the roof. U.S. manufacturing activity has surged to a 37-year all-time high back in March. And that has opened up more than 500,000 job openings. And I think like the 500,000 are right here in northern Utah.
I'm pretty sure a good chunk of them are at least.
Yeah, I mean, we got to remind everybody, Ogden's #1 metro market under 1 million population for more jobs than there are job seekers. And Salt Lake rated #1 for the largest metro markets for more jobs than there are job seekers. Companies are struggling to find skilled workers that are specialized in specific roles, and they're struggling to find just people for entry-level positions. There is a talent shortage, right? This isn't a new thing. There's always a talent shortage, but it's getting worse. And there's far-reaching consequences that go beyond the manufacturing industry itself, but it's definitely impacting the manufacturing industry, the light industrial space.
It definitely, it's like this whole trickle-down thing. It's not even just the specialized workers. It's even entry-level, any production workers right now. They've more openings than we've got people to fill them. That not just like we as in Elwood Staffing, but we as in like the whole state has to fill them.
So there was a study done by Deloitte and the Manufacturing Institute. Hat tip to Deloitte. Got a good friend of mine that works over there. The report they produce warns that the shortage of people are going to hurt revenue. They're going to hurt production, and ultimately, it's going to cost the U.S. economy up to $1 trillion by 2030. I think that number is a small. I think that's understated. I think it's going to be more than that. Maybe we'll hit $1 trillion in a couple of years. Paul Welliner, vice chairman, he said, it is deeply concerning that at a time when jobs are in such high demand nationwide, the number of vacant entry-level manufacturing positions continues to grow, which we're seeing that here. It's like, you get people out there and started, and it's like you need double that by the time they get through their training. It's just the demand is so high nationwide. And I think it's a resounding distress signal that we're seeing across the country with U.S. manufacturers. Some say the poll they took with these manufacturers, they say it's 36% harder to find talent today than 2018.
They also said in there that, what was it? It was like 77% of those manufacturing executives said that they are having trouble to not only attract, but to also retain the workers.
Yes. Yeah. And, you look at how far an executive might be detached from boots on the ground, right? The front lines. And so for them to say 77% to say they're having trouble, it's got to be much higher than that. The scope of the problem is so much larger. And a lot of people are pointing this way and that way. They're putting the blame on the stimulus check, right? Probably rightfully so. That does play into this, because it's not that people are staying home with the unemployment and stimulus. Look at Utah, 2.9% unemployment. It's virtually no unemployment. So they're not staying home. It's just they're using that stimulus, right, to go purchase goods. Have you tried to buy furniture lately? It takes
It's dang near impossible.
Yeah, it's like, well, we got 2 months out for delivery because we don't have the furniture produced, right? Can I buy the showroom model? Nope, because we need to place 20 more orders on this showroom model because there's going to be a lot of people coming in.
Well, and that's exactly what we're seeing with stimulating the economy. Yes, this is a great thing. It opens up jobs. It opens up those opportunities because people are buying these products, and the products being bought have to be made. It doesn't just come made from the factory. There's factory workers that make it. And we are seeing an influx in jobs needed because, or an influx in workers needed because of the jobs opening, because of the spending, because of the stimulus check.
Yeah. And you think about it, this shortage is going to act as a brake in the growth of our economy, because you can't get your furniture or your appliances. You can't get the new vehicles because of the chip shortage. Like it's going to put the brakes on this growth, which it's just a ripple effect. It's like you're trying to get all these people and you're trying to get the product produced to get it out there. You have all these orders from your suppliers and your vendors, et cetera, and your customers, and then you can't fulfill it, and then that demand ultimately goes away, and then you have all this backlog of product and raw materials, and now you're just underwater. It's just and unless you can stay on top of it, unless you can be fully staffed, it's going to be a double-edged sword, because you're going to have to spend the money for the supplies, the raw materials, and then not sell all of it. That's going to be problematic for some companies. I really like in this article, Heidi, that it points out the robots are not taking over.
Okay, so this is actually something that I had a fear about when I had to go back into the workforce due to being laid off because of COVID. And so I can understand where this is going. We always talk about how there are more automated processes. And so the people needing to hand pack things is just not a thing. That's a thing of the past.
Right.
Or at least that's the mentality that's out there, that there's not as many workers needed. There's not as many hands-on work needed. But this is not accurate. It's not an accurate representation of the workforce.
No, it's a goal of many manufacturers to, systemize and have robotics in place. And you'll see in most facilities, they have robots, but they're assisting the humans. They're not taking over the humans. And if you look at the data, there's 2.7 million industrial robots used worldwide. There's quite a big workforce out there that trumps the 2.7 million robots, right? So there's companies that are trying to make a whole facility robotic, but there's still people that have to feed the robots the raw materials, right? They're feeders. And then there's the technicians and maintenance and the engineers and the programmers and the machinists. Like there's more people than there are robots. And so it's just so complex that it's not something that's going to replace your job tomorrow or even 10 years from now. But
one of the cool things about going over there and working now is that before it gets to that automated process, if you start out as a hand picker, then they gradually work you up to that machine operator position. And in the machine operator position, as that machine is developed and advancements are made, they're going to train you to handle those machines, to operate those new machines. And then suddenly you've got these skills and these assets that a company gave you, did that training with you. They invested in you that way. And you started off at something that anybody out of high school could do. And now you've got the qualifications and the experience and the training needed for one of these higher end positions that just builds you as an individual.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better, Heidi. So one thing that this new article points out is there is competition. There are some employers, there are some large organizations that are bridging the gap for the demand of workers. They're attracting the talent in, and so it points out that as the pandemic continues, many manufacturers that can't fill their entry-level positions, it's not due to their pay necessarily. They're paying well above the minimum wage. It's just the same positions, including assemblers, production workers, just the basic entry-level positions where you get started, where people are willing to learn and grow, like you mentioned. Even people in hospitality that have been laid off, or just, those wages are a little too low. They're going to companies like Amazon that have very attractive wages and benefits and availability of jobs. And, it's just easy to get hired on. I know some people mentioned they just been hired on through just a text message, like going back and forth, at an Amazon warehouse. And so the warehouse and distribution sectors, with this e-commerce boom, they're getting the people because of their attractive wages. And you have everyone else, you might be a little bit under on their wages or even close to the same amount of wages. They're suffering the most because people are just flooding into those positions. Now, you got to think there is some sort of critical mass, right? You fill all your positions in your warehouse, so not all 200,000 workers in Ogden in the light industrial space are going to work for Amazon. They don't have that many jobs, and that's not what I'm saying here. But what I'm pointing out is wage compression, competition. When you have more job seekers than you have when you have more jobs than job seekers, you have to find a way to bring them over into your organization. You've got to attract that talent, and we find that in the data, 75% of job seekers, when they accept that job in the light industrial space, the production workers, the assembly production, it's based on wage. And so, and that's hard, right? Because not everyone can move on their wages. So I've been a advocate of pay people based on their experience. So maybe you don't have to change the wage for your entire plant, but hire based on experience and pay for experience. So if you have someone making $20 at Amazon an hour because of their experience, and your wage is maybe, I don't know, $15.50, bring them on at $20 an hour. Because you're going to get to a point where all those orders, if they're not met, you're going to lose the money on the raw materials and getting it there, and then you're not going to make the sell. You're not going to get it to the clients in time, and they're going to get it elsewhere. And so it's an opportunity cost. And if you can bridge that gap somehow, and bring the people in at wages that are, competitive to the Amazons of the world, you're going to fare off a little bit better than most. And I think that's the challenge. That's a big challenge.
It is, and it's been a big problem, especially with the kind of work environment that they're going to be in, because it's not just about wage, it's also about the work environment. But if you've got a tougher work environment, something where burnout's more common, having that higher wage is going to make that job worth it.
Okay, so burnout. I mean,
Steven, I'm feeling it today. I'm telling you, I came into work and I told Paula, I don't even know why I came into work today.
Oh, no, you did not.
I totally did. And then I've been struggling all day to stay focused, stay on task, not get overwhelmed.
That's so unproductive when you're burned out, because it's like an 8-hour day. You only got about 4 hours of work done because you're just dragging on and
feeling that.
Yeah. So I just paid you 8 hours and you only got 4 hours of productivity out of you.
I'm not even kidding. That's probably a really good, accurate representation. I'm not at my full. I can usually, multitask, do 3, 4, 5 different things at a time. We are staffing so many people, getting so much done. And I'm in this lull today where I have to rethink the same problem like 4 times because I can't, it's not processing. I just can't.
Listen up. This is a real life example. Heidi's, not playing around, like she's serious.
Let me just complain and whine about all of my problems on Facebook Live. I love it.
Well, but this is the very problem that employers face today is they overwork their team, they get burned out and they become less productive. And many,
Thing.
not Heidi, quit because it's ongoing and they don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, and they go after the job that's paying more and offering less overtime.
They don't have a boss, that they can go to and be like, Steven, I'm not in it today. I'm sucking today and I'm terrible at my job today. I know that I am, but I can't change it. And at this point where
I should have just sent you home 4 hours ago.
That wouldn't help because we have so much that needs to be done, and it's so.
But then you would have burned out Paula because that would have went on her shoulders.
Yes.
So
yes.
Yeah, but it's a very real world problem.
So what do you do about it, Steven?
How you get fully staffed. I hire you another recruiter in the branch to help out. Right?
I mean, that would definitely help. But is there anything that I can help and do for me right now to help me be a little bit more productive? Something I could do during my day?
Yes. Drink some coffee and...
No, we'd mentioned like taking a step back. That's one thing that Paul and I worked on today, that there's been, instead of doing these long breaks, like a long lunch break, there's been quite a few times today where I'm like, okay, Paula, I'm taking a break. Gone for 5 minutes. I need to rethink my process. I need to just walk away from the work for a hot 5 minutes. I'll be back. Give me a hot second. And a couple of times today, just so that I could reprocess and then come back and be like, okay, now I know what I need to do. I've got to get this paper done, this paper done, this paper done, and then that's done. And I can't even think about what I got to do next. So I, take another break.
Hey, that's great advice.
I think I think that there's things that you can do now. Definitely reaching out to your supervisors, talking to them about it. They can't change anything if they don't know about it. And then taking small breaks. Sometimes
if you make work your life, there's no burnout. It's just living life.
Steven, this is not a solution.
That's what I do.
I know it's not a solution.
Well, yeah, no, I think burnout's a really important issue to address. And if you're watching this as somebody that hires people or responsible for, a team, you know exactly what we're talking about, and it's something to be aware of and to address. And sometimes you can't address it the way you want to, like give Heidi a day off, but you can at least sympathize and let her voice, her frustrations and
give her a team to lean on. I do have a great team here and a team remotely from Brigham that we definitely lean on days like that.
All right, so Heidi, American factories are desperate right now to find people. So take a look at what you're doing, what you can offer people to bring them in, to keep them, because it is a competitive market and it's something that we should look at every single day. And then I want to leave on this, since this is Northern Utah Jobs podcast show thingy. We for the first time, this is the first time we're going to announce it. And we are doing a multi-agency drive-through job fair event in Ogden with Fresenius Medical Care. This will be on Thursday, May 20th from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. And this is a multi-agency event. So you're going to have multiple agencies participating, and you're going to be able to come check out Fresenius. You're going to be able to interview and leave, hopefully, with a job offer. So we want to show you what Fresenius has to offer. We want to introduce you to what to expect, and make it a fun event. So this is going to be on Thursday, May 20th from 1 to 7. And come on down, check it out. You're going to love it.
Really cool thing about that, though, is that you get to not only choose which agency that you go through, but, Fresenius is just not the option for you. There's plenty of others to choose.
So check this out. You're going to have the option to direct hire with Fresenius or get hired through one of the agencies.
Wait, so they're doing both direct hire and through staffing agencies hiring?
Yeah. Yeah.
And because the pay rate's the same. Fresenius does all their pay rates the same.
Yeah, it's just going to be a different benefit offering, benefits through us or the other agency or through Fresenius.
Do I get to go around to not me, because I'm not, a new career path even.
You are burned out.
Do I get to go around to the different booths and just be like, hey, if you've got the best goodies, I'll totally go through your agency?
I'm sure that's going to happen. For people are going to look for the table with the best goodies.
You better stock up on Dr. Pepper, Steven.
Oh, I tell you what, yeah.
Dr. Pepper and Cheetos. I mean, you laugh at me, but I'm serious. Dr. Peppers and Cheetos, like that's everybody's weakness.
That's terrible.
It's good.
All right. Well, great discussion tonight. Check out the article. It's linked above, and it's kind of a bleak outlook on the economy for U.S. manufacturers. But I think the companies that can, forward think on this, that can plan ahead, get creative with their budgets, maybe you can fare off just a little bit better than everyone else, because the Amazons of the world, they're having a little bit easier time getting their facility staffed and the product out. So,
and good news for job seekers. If you are looking for a job, have ever considered a job, know of somebody looking for a job, have even remotely thought about getting a job, now is the time. There are so many options.
More options than there are people to take them. All right, Heidi, great show. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.